Forgive the black screen if you're on here. Sorry. I'm just kind of fixing some stuff. And actually, I need to grab. Oh no! Stretch. Fatty grunt. There we go. Grab some stuff. Alright, this says my business is ready. Let's pull you off to the side. Let's relaunch you. Let's see. And then we need. Yep. You will work. Yeah, we don't have that. Okay, perfect. All right. We need live chat. Let's get something on the screen so you're not looking at a big black screen if you're out there watching. Let's see. Full size laptop screen. Full size. There we go. There we go. That'll work. Hey, that's me playing around with stuff. Now, test. Well, this says it's working, but I know it can't be because I haven't even started Twitch yet. Start all. Oh, we need to stop. I never stopped Twitch, and now we need to start. All right. There we go. Now we're talking. Let me pull up Twitch and see if it's working. Little test. My channel. Turn up some volume. We're just making sure everything's working. No. Why are you broken? Play. Play? Oh my gosh. I think. I think we're working now. I'm sorry, guys. There we go. All right. Well, we'll check it in a minute. Twitch might not be working. And if Twitch isn't working, there's literally no reason to have anything open for it. But, hello everyone. Let's use that and see if that's working. Okay, so once again, Twitch is showing it. I am just finishing up. I was trying to troubleshoot something, and we're still having issues. So that's neat. Chat. That says it's working. It's a liar. Channels. Edit. Okay, well, again, this says it's working. But it is definitely lying. I'll have to play with this a little bit more later. We're going to move on, and I'll just monitor two chats. That's like my rap name, two chats. Let's see. Is Twitch doing anything yet? Continue. My channel. Last live just now. Bro, I'm live right now. How was it last live just now? Bro, I don't even know what's happening. Oh well, let's dig into this. I apologize. Let's get my lovely face somewhere on this board. We'll take the chat box off. Beep. And we need a little camera. Da, 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 da. Video capture device. That's way too much. That's too much me. Boop. Let's laptop cam. Wee. That's a good amount of me. All the me your body can handle. Anyway, cool. Let's take these glasses off. All right, so when I'm done, I'll go in and add a comment to where the actual start of the video is. I apologize for anybody that's been waiting. I've been spending way more time than I should be trying to troubleshoot whatever is happening inside of Restream to figure out why it's not multi-streaming the chat, like it won't sync. We don't need you open. I hope I didn't need you open. So yeah, it's just been a rough go. Because when I put it into YouTube, it should show up on Twitch, and if I put it in Twitch, it should show up on YouTube. That's the point. But it doesn't want to do that. So what I wanted to talk about today is I wanted to talk about terrain as it pertains to Firefight. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is one, terrain is one of those topics that's like really near and dear to me, and not because like, ooh, I love building terrain. Everybody that is aware of who I am knows that I'm a game first player. I do enjoy some of the hobby aspects, but I'm not that person who's going to sit in their basement and like craft these grand cities and have this huge diorama. That's just not who I am. I really respect the people who do that, but that is not me. I am more about the function and the play of the game. Let me shrink this up just a hair so we can slide it to the right. There we go. Now my face isn't covering it up. Ha ha ha. So anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm at with it. Is I wanted to talk about terrain because it's one of those things that can make or break a game, and really can make or break your experience with a game. If you've and a good example is if you're a Warhammer player, right, and you play 40K, and you play a melee centric army such as like a Blood Angels, and you don't put enough terrain on the table, and your opponent maybe plays like Tau or some other shooting heavy army like Guard, that's not going to be a fun game for you because you're not going to have anywhere to go. The counter to that is that if you do put terrain on the table, right? If you put too much of it, your opponent isn't really going to have any shooting lanes. And because they're not going to have shooting lanes, they're also going to struggle. So it is going to be a fine balance between trying to, um, you know, appease both sides of the game. Too much, and it's too melee friendly. Too little, and it's too shooting friendly. And that's going to hold true for any game that's like this. Any kind of like battle dice game. There's a few exceptions. You know, you start getting into the rank and file games like Old World, and it's not quite as detrimental because shooting is way less efficient. It's way less common, you know, but for the most part, that's how the games are going to work. So before we dig in, there's a few things that we should talk about. We're going to grab a pencil. Does that? Oh, it does pencil. It doesn't undo though. Oh, I see. Can I? Oh my gosh, I can move it. I did not know that. I've never played with this, so I'm sorry if I'm learning as I'm doing this. It just really freaked me out when I was just like, hey, why does this work? So remember excuse me, in Firefight, I think all, but maybe not all. At least from the battle missions perspective. I can't really talk about the narrative pack or anything like that. But from the battle missions perspective, almost every mission. What was that? Do I have to just start? I don't even understand what's happening. Anyway, let's see. What is this? You've got your deployment zones, and they're going to look about like this, right? This distance right here is 24 inches. And for the most part, your army's going to start on one side facing that way. Their army's going to start on another side facing that way. We're going to erase all this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up my Epic pen because that's going to be a little bit easier for me because then I can just turn things off and on a little bit easier without having to constantly remove and stuff. And once that Epic pen's up, we're going to talk about some things. We're not going to update it. Don't worry. Ignore. Really, really handy app for all this. All right, so like we said, we've got, a deployment zone here and a deployment zone here. And understand that these are not to scale. That's a highlighter. What we don't want, right, is we don't want a whole army to be able to kind of sit in their deployment zone and shoot all the way across. If you have a couple small lanes, that's one thing. Give me a second. Okay, that's fine. All that'll wait. If you have a couple lanes, that's going to be one thing. But if you've got, you know, big, wide open areas with nothing in between, that's not good. So the cool thing about Firefight is that not we, I'm not a Firefight, uses a height mechanic. So what we could do is we could take advantage, sorry about that, we're going to close that out. We can take advantage of that height mechanic. We can grab some terrain here. Let's grab a building. Let's say are you big? No, you're so tiny. Why are these so tiny? I don't understand this. Everything is so teeny tiny. Let's grab this tower. So we could take this tower, for example, and we could put it right there. And if we assume that that tower is height 4, pretty much nothing in the game outside of an aircraft is going to see over it. Okay? And that's okay. We can do that. But I like the way the height mechanic works because you can easily manipulate that to give you good coverage, good terrain. So what we'll do is I'm going to set up maybe like half a table. We'll start with some. Not hills. I don't want to use hills. Let's start with some plants because we can grab some forests here. And they don't even have to be forests. They could be anything. This is just to kind of give you an idea, right? So we could take like this big area here, and actually I wouldn't do that. There's some things I've learned about Firefight uh, as I've played it that are very interesting. So let's just go to walls. So we can grab this, and we can. Okay. We're just gonna clone it a bunch of times for now. I tell you what would be handy is like I know there are keyboard shortcuts, but some better ones would be nice. Not that this is a bad program, but it's not necessarily the most intuitive. There we go. So even just doing something like this, and let's throw in a couple other pieces here. Let's put this type of wall. And why can I not scale this? I think that's one of my biggest frustrations. And I don't mean to be bitching. Sorry. I'm just like using this and I'm thinking I should be able to just hotkey scale this. There should be like a right click, scale it up so I can make it a little bigger, but there is not. And that makes me sad because that feels to me like a missed opportunity and something that really like, here we go. Here's a wall that really just would make sense, right? It just is one of those things like this would make sense. So maybe we put that there and then we, oh gosh. Oh my gosh, what did I do? Dude, I'm telling you, life is hard when you're an idiot. Oh my gosh. If activated displays, I don't want that. I want the grabby. Where's my grabby? There we go. Because we can clone that now. We can whip it over here. And we don't necessarily, again, need it to be perfect. We can drop that there. Bam. Let's go ahead and actually, we will grab. We're going to say that this is like this tent is going to be, let's see, a bridge. There we go. So we're going to use this bridge and we're going to say it's like an armor container instead. For those that don't know, that's just like the big shipping type containers you see on a lot of tables. Maybe more like that. And let's see. And this is, again, like I said, this isn't going to be perfect, but this is going to maybe, yeah, that's fine. We can scoot you back and down. Bam. Put that there. Like, I have seen people try to set tables and it kind of looks like this, and that's not good. You know, we're going to talk about why, and then we'll keep kind of going on what we could do. I'll probably just draw it from here on out instead of using their terrain pack, just because that's a little slower than I thought it was going to be. But if you look, like we still have these massive. Bro, what are you doing? Give me my pencil. Like if I have a unit here, I still can see all the way across. I can see basically across. I can put a unit here, have it across, have it across, have it across, have it, like there's just firing lanes. There's nowhere to hide. Now, if that's what you want, that's fine. If you and your friends are just looking to just move, roll dice, shoot stuff, and not get into melee and stuff like that, that's all fine. But when I talk about games, I tend to come from a more balanced, or what's the word I'm looking for here? Like competitive perspective. So what I would probably try to do is I would probably try to make sure that we have some way to effectively cut the board in half. Not that it needs to be cut all the way in half, but you want there to be, and it doesn't even mean, I don't even mean perfectly in half. Uh, it could actually be cut more like this. But you don't want, thanks. It is a stream, and I'm kind of nice. I'm just talking about terrain. Um, but yeah, what you don't want is you don't want to sit in deployment zones and to shoot into other deployment zones. It doesn't really matter how you cut the table in half. What is important is that you effectively cut it in half with your terrain. So let's switch over to black, right? And we'll add some, you could maybe do something here to fill that gap in, something here to fill that gap in, and then maybe like some sort of weird footprinted forest or something there and there. And that'd work a lot better, and you've only really added a few small pieces. Because now you have, we'll go to pink now. You've got, you can put things here, you won't get shot. You can put things in this corner, you won't get shot. You have these hiding places in your deployment zone where you can avoid getting shot. You can go behind these and I mean, arguably, maybe there could be a line there or here, but it's going to be a lot tougher. It does give you places to hide. And then what I would probably do from there, let's get rid of all this pink, is I'd probably put something out in these areas, whether it's an armor container, whatever, just to kind of break it up. And then from there, you've got these bigger pieces. And by bigger, I'm only talking roughly maybe like a 6-inch square, a 6x3. That is one thing we'll dig into in just a minute. But Firefight, from my experience, benefits a lot more from having fewer or smaller pieces, higher density. Whereas games like Warhammer can kind of benefit from a little bit more of like higher volume, smaller density, if that makes sense. Like you could do bigger footprints and have a few smaller, like fewer pieces of terrain on the board with bigger footprints because of how the units interact with it. Whereas with Firefight, you really want a lot more terrain on the table that's smaller. And then from there, let's go with blue. So with then you might start taking like barrels or craters or crates. And actually, craters are awesome. What we do in my play group with craters is if you're in the crater, you get cover, and the crater's considered height 1. So basically, as long as you are in or around that crater, you're going to get cover. And that's just so that we have a reason to put them on the table. If I've got these awesome craters that I've like printed or made, and I don't have a reason to put them on the table, what's the point in using them? So we just treat craters as height 1, but being inside them still gives you cover. So like we could even just make this, and I think they are difficult terrain if I remember correctly. I don't remember, but it's just one of those things where I don't even know if what we did is a house rule. Um, I just know that's how we do it. We didn't even like look it up. It was just like, hey, how can we use these? Here's how we use these. So again, you're starting to see what I'm talking about, and just little pieces all over the table. They could be like little sandbag rings, things like that. So now what we've got, so black is going to be height 2 or bigger. Blue is going to be, what you call it? Scatter, maybe height 1, stuff like that. So let's go back to yellow. So now what we've got is if I am here, right, if I go first and I move a unit out, if I've got missiles and you've got like a tank right here, you're at least going to have cover from that crater, right? At the very least, you're going to have a -1. However, you could have also just put your tank back here and it would have been able to be shot at. I mean, again, we have this line here, but that's a pretty big distance, and you're still going to have cover. You also have the option to go here, here. Like now, we're starting to cut off some of these lines of sight, and make it harder to stand in a deployment zone without at least getting cover. From deployment zone to deployment zone, you've got like here. I guess it doesn't work that way. Here, you've got here, but again, you've got cover. You can't get all the way here. Again, maybe there's like this little cheeky line right here, but that's going to be really close. You've got here, and maybe like right here. And then it just flips. So your lines of sight are cut way down, and that's going to do two things. One, it's going to give more shooting armies some shooting lanes, even if they have to take that -1 to hit for cover. It's going to give melee armies places to hide because you don't have to just sit there and go, oh, I can't move because you're just going to shoot me. Oh no, the fight's out. All right. You know, because I could, for example, if I've got a unit of stalkers or something here, I can run them to here and then have them sit here. And again, you'll be able to get some lines of sight on me, but it's going to be tough. And I will, for the most part, have cover. The only way I'm not is going to be basically if you're kind of like in this pocket right here, and that's about it. So that's kind of what I like to see with tables. You know, you want things to be dense enough that you are breaking up the table. And if you look, we don't do it perfectly, but we effectively break it up this way. We effectively break it up this way, and we effectively break it up this way. Again, there are some lines, and we definitely break it up this way. But there are some lines there, but they're broken up. They're few and far between, and they allow for a more strategic gameplay because now, if this is our terrain layout, we can start looking at, okay, now it's time to place objectives if we're playing a mission with objective markers. So let's grab, is there a green? I don't know that green is the best color. Let's go back to pink. So if we put an objective marker, like if I'm playing my Veerman, for example, and I know I'm going to need to hide, I might try, if I can, I might try to put one there because that'll allow me to move from here all the way up, right? I can grab it, I can hide, I can maybe have cover, and then I might try to put one here, again, for the same reasons. But also, where my opponent puts them is going to dictate that as well. But you get what I'm saying is this is why it's so important to make sure you have really good terrain on the table in terms of density and size. Um, I will show you. Yeah, let's let me close you out, or at least get you off the screen. And then let me grab a tab here, whip it out of there. And I've talked about this in the past. There we go. Open image, a new tab. I'm going to grab a few different tables, and we'll talk about them. Let me just grab the old grabby grabberton. That was not Firefight. That was Warlords. Here's, I think this is open image, a new tab. And open image. All right, so we're going to go through each one of these. Let me close you out. All right. I don't know why this does this. And full size. Okay. Bro, I don't know if I'm just like hurting today. I have no idea. Evidently something in my brain is just like, that ain't it. All right, so can I rotate this? I don't know that I can right here. That's fine. That'll work. All right, so if we look at this table, this one's pretty dense, right? Oh, there it is. It's like, where's my gosh dang pen? All right. No, that's what I needed. Boop, 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 boop. All right, so if we look at this table, let's take it, pencil, bam. All right, so we've got an objective here and here. And then if I had to guess, I'd say, because I didn't, this is Forge Fathers and Asterians. There's probably one somewhere in this. Oh my gosh, why was that so massive? There's probably one back here somewhere. And then I'm guessing maybe like right here. That's my assumption. I can't see everything very well. That's okay. I'm not going to zoom it all in. It's going to get the same point across no matter what I do. Boop, 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 boop. Now, if you look, we've got here and here. We do have some open area here and here, but we've got this big X where it's very, very tight windows, very narrow. And then if you look, we've got this one's here. So whoever put this objective there is a goose. I personally wouldn't have put it there, but I'm guessing it was the Asterians player, knowing that the Forge Fathers just wouldn't be able to spread out and take the board. But that's one big lane, and that's going to happen. We've actually got a really big one here, but that's not going to benefit you until later in the game. And then we've got one kind of like this. But for the most part, the lanes are only about between 12 and 24 inches long, with a couple exceptions. And that's more what I'm talking about. And even if you have lanes, you've got things like this to give cover. So we've got that cover. We've got it broken up. Um, let's see. This is another table we had. This one probably could have used a little bit more terrain. This was just a big building that we put on it. We wanted to test it out. This was at a tournament. Um, but again, we still have effectively this line. And then instead, it's a little bit more like this. And then this way is a little bit more open, as you can see. We've got this. Let's see. Let's go back to blue, blue. We've got this. We've got kind of here, because this is just a little piece of scatter. We've got a little bit here and here. And then there's just the narrowest of lines here. But for the most part, again, it's all blocked off. And even though this is kind of a little bit less dense than I would suggest, it still worked pretty well. We still got to play games. I actually played Forge Fathers on this table, and like I beat him. He tabled me. I beat him. That's kind of my experience with Forge Fathers. So, and then this was another table. We'll break this one down a little bit too, and then we'll probably be wrapping this up. This one was. Is this my GCPS game? Yeah, I was playing against GCPS with my enforcers. So if you look, we got an objective here and an objective here. And I believe that was the only two on the board. I could be wrong. There might be one like right behind here. But anyway, again, we've got cover here. We treated these as height 4, these as height 2. So we had like all these things that kind of blocked. We did not treat these as buildings. We treated them as just big L's or walls, like barricades that you had to walk around. So there was that. But it's one of those, like, again, he had GCPS. He had a lot of guns. I still got to play the game. The first game was more of a, like, let's get you on the table so you can learn your army. He's played a few games, but hasn't really played with GCPS. And then the second game was a really tight game. I think we tied. I can't remember if we tied or if he beat me by, like, the narrowest of margins. But it was a pretty good game. It was real close, a lot of fun. And then I think that's going to wrap up all those for now. So again, I don't know if this helps you or not, and I didn't want to, take up a ton of time because I will be putting more time into this later. Um, I'm going to really do a good breakdown, and I want to talk about missions as well. I want to get out there and I want to be like, hey, look, here's the battle missions. Here's some suggestions I have for how we can kind of change it up a little bit. So look forward to that. I've been working with a couple of the people in the community on their thoughts on it as well, and I'll be getting their thoughts on terrain as well. So that's all going to be coming up soon. I just wanted to, and really, this was like a, hey, I just had this idea. I want to kind of like talk to everybody real quick. And, this is probably one of the shorter videos I've done in a while. So next week is going to be Christmas, right? No, 2 weeks is Christmas. So next week, we're going to wrap up the Veerman series with support. I may actually end up getting that up today or tomorrow. To next week we will definitely, words are hard, man. Jesus. uh Next week we will wrap up the Veerman series with the support units, and there's a good chance we also start the plague series. I'm going to be doing a review on Conflict 47, and I might do a review on the new bolt action. I don't know. I mean, I will at some point, but that's not going to be necessarily anytime soon. And we will be doing a review on the Trench Crusade. I've had a lot of people ask me about Trench Crusade. Chris, are you going to do Trench Crusade? Are you going to talk about this game? This game looks super cool. Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? Yes, I've already worked with a couple of the people in my local community. We've already got copies of it incoming. We are absolutely going to be playing it to check it out, and I will 100% do a review on it. So just to let everybody know. And then in closing, big shout out to Military Gaming Command. Again, they don't pay me for that. I just like to shout them out. It's militarygamingcommand.org. They are a nonprofit that supports veterans, which I am a veteran, so I will continue to shout them out because I believe in their mission, and they are some of the best human beings I've ever had the pleasure of working with. So that being said, I don't know if this helped you. Hopefully it did. If you're unsure of how much terrain to use on a table, things like that, I just wanted to get this out there and share it with you all. Thanks a lot.